Hello, I'm Dr. Frances Pitzilis. Many people might need zinc and don't know it because you can see when someone has a zinc deficiency some of the time. They can have dandruff, they can have scaly skin around their eyebrows or around their nasolabial folds. They can have poor wound healing. They can have an eczema type rash, a variety of rashes actually, including one that I call discoid eczema. You can see white spots on the fingernails, and I call them zinc spots. And there are numerous other conditions and considerations that require zinc. Now, the first time that zinc was diagnosed as a deficiency or discovered was in the Middle East, where there was a 21-year-old Iranian farmer who had anemia, hypogonadism, that means that his testicles hadn't developed very well, and he was a dwarf. And he was living on unrefined flat bread, potatoes and milk. So vast areas of the Middle East where people eat like this and have not a lot of animal products, because you find zinc in animal products, people end up with these conditions. So after that, the World Health Organization decided that about a third of the world is zinc deficient, and the people more likely to be a bit more zinc deficient are the elderly, where it might be up to 42%. But people who have more requirements can get zinc deficient. For example, the fetus growing in the womb, pregnant women, and people who are stressed in any way, shape or form. Zinc is second only to magnesium as the busiest mineral in the body. It's important for 300 reactions. The most important areas span throughout the body, but include looking after DNA, looking after fertility, and we actually know that zinc deficiency is associated with a low sperm count. And these days we're getting a lot more low sperm count. Zinc helps the expression of hormones, helps maintain pregnancies, and helps the fetus to grow. And zinc deficiency is one of the causes of intrauterine growth retardation of the fetus. Aside from that, zinc is the most important mineral for the thyroid. Virtually every reaction to make thyroid hormones requires zinc. And if zinc is deficient in any way, you can't interpret the blood test for thyroid function. Zinc has an important role in the respiratory area. It helps with allergies, asthma, recurrent infection. It has been known to reduce pneumonia in children by 17%. And the way it works when reducing and preventing the common cold is that it stops the rhinovirus, one of the cold viruses, from binding onto the nose cells. It also stops the virus from multiplying, and it also stops release of histamine, which is what causes the swelling in the fluid. Now, zinc also has a role with atherosclerosis, diabetes, and helping cholesterol. Of course, it helps with mental health. It's an antidepressant, and it helps to balance out your neurotransmitters. Zinc also balances out the immune system, so you don't shift too far one way or the other. There is a system called Th1, Th2 helper cells, and if you go too far one way, you get an autoimmune disease, allergy and asthma. If you go too far the other way, you get a whole different set of autoimmune diseases. So zinc's important in keeping that balance. So I think the important thing about zinc is that you're more likely to become deficient if you don't have enough protein-containing foods like eggs and meat and oysters and animal-type foods. And of course, you're more at risk if you're pregnant, young, sick, old, or a vegan, vegetarian. So be aware of that. You can't test zinc very easily. There is a blood test. However, because a lot of zinc is bound to bone and tissues, and zinc is also important for bone, by the way, and people often don't think about that. But because zinc is often bound up, there's not much free zinc in the blood to measure, and so you need to take that with a grain of salt. The best time to test zinc is in the morning when you know it's always going to be at its highest. It is affected by food, so you need to take it away from food. Now, zinc is also affected by tetracycline antibiotics, coffee, calcium, iron, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, so be aware of that. That's why I often ask people to take their zinc later in the evening. And I often ask them to take it with a snack because some of the zincs can give you a little bit of nausea. The best absorbed zincs are zinc picolinate, zinc sulfate, and zinc gluconate. Most people tolerate the zinc very well. If there's a bit of nausea, then take it with a bit of food. But it's very important not to take too much zinc because, like selenium, too much zinc can cause you harm. So we've just heard about the second busiest mineral in the body, how amazing all the things it does are, and how you need it for so many things, and how important it is. It can be simply tested using the zinc taste test, and it's important not to take too much.